Thank you for attending your guide to conquering the virtual work world. My name is Dawn M. Davis, and I am your presenter today. It is our goal that we provide you with information in reference to how you can best prepare for remote assignments, as well as inserting some comedy to assist you along the way. We will also look at challenges as well as benefits of working remotely, as well as best practices. So, let's get started. To best understand where we are currently, we can literally look at where we came from. So let's look at working from home pre-pandemic. Before the pandemic struck, this type of work, working remotely, was also known as telecommuting. We can go back to roughly the 1990s, of which these type of assignments were considered to be a sort of favor that a supervisor would lend to a employee. The remote assignments or telecommuting assignments typically carried a negative stigma, and primarily that is because of information security issues, firewall issues, and quite frankly, worker productivity. Some would say, well, I'm working from home, I'm telecommuting, which for some was a code for this is my off day. Or at least that is what some employers were thinking, that you wouldn't actually be working. However, then came 2020, of which it literally turned our worlds upside down, of which we have a rather comical video that we want to share with you that we took from the Super Bowl last year. And this is just in reference to how 2020 treated us with the pandemic. And we call this slide and this presentation, When Life Hands You Lemons, Make Lemonade.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
2020 was a lemon of a year.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I love you.
January, February, into March and April. Same way through. Every single second, every minute, every hour. All the whole year through.
It is intense right here.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's a lot of lemons.
Well, you know what they say when life gives you
We
lemons.
know the saying, Mark.
Absolutely. 2020 definitely handed us a bunch of lemons, but it also helped us realize that there was another way to get things done. So now, working from home, best thing since sliced bread. We've realized the benefits offered to not just the employee, but also to the employer, where some employers have even noted that there was an actual increase in productivity where it was once the thought that the workers would not be working if they were not there in the office. So lots of employees as well as employers are now happy with this solution. We can look at some numbers that were taken from December 2020, and this was presented in a webinar called The Downside of Working 100% Remotely. So it says the downside, however, there were a lot of benefits noted in reference to working remotely, of which the main benefit was listed as flexibility in your schedule. Well, of course, that makes perfect sense. But like I said, in reference to this particular workshop, we want to show you benefits as well as challenges, and we'll go back and forth just to give you a good idea. So some of the other benefits that we can talk about in reference to working remotely and working from home include self-care, flexibility as noted, learning new applications and functions to improve your work. And when we think about self-care, we have noted here walking, 5-minute yoga sessions, and or meditating. These are some things that some people were not comfortable with completing there within their offices. However, working remotely or working from anywhere, you can, of course, take care of yourself much better now without the prying eyes necessarily. We mentioned here learning new applications and functions to improve your job. We wanted to let you know that there are a number of online trainings which are absolutely free, of which we noted here. One is accessible via edu.gcfglobal.org, which is, as we noted, completely free, where you can go learn things like Excel, different functions within Excel, or any other type of programs that you might want to brush up on your skills. But then if you're someone who doesn't mind paying a little bit, a small token, you can utilize Udemy. So we've been working remotely for nearly 2 years now, where, like I say, back in the 1990s, it was highly frowned upon, but now that employers and commerce see this as a way to continue to get the job done, we recognize that there is absolutely a change in the workforce, specifically within the remote workforce. And we took this information from FlexJobs as well as Upwork in 2020, where of course it shows an increase in the amount of workers who are expecting to work remotely in 2021. So we will have some new numbers for you as we are approaching the end of 2021, as we continue to navigate through this time. So is working remotely a wave of the future? Absolutely, especially anytime you consider that within this pandemic, now we have subsets of issues that are creating a problem for our commerce, which means there will be opportunities to work remotely and or work in a different fashion, not necessarily going into the office every day of the week. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities where people are requesting to work remotely more often. Even employers are requesting that their workers choose certain days where they will work from their homes. So beyond theories, remote work trends in 2020. We've got listed here that 48% were noted as saying that they would prefer to work remotely at least some of the time. 99% admitted that if they could, they would work remotely the rest of their careers. So is this a trend? Absolutely. So what we want to do now is show a slide in reference to what some individuals experienced as they were, in essence, thrown into the remote work realm without necessarily receiving any type of training, any type of preparation. So we just want you to take a look here, see if maybe you see yourself in this, and we will move right along. But let's take a look.
Yes, I'm about to send those numbers over.
Are you done yet?
Give Mommy 5 more minutes, please. No, I'm not calling you from the bathroom. I'm in my home office.
I gotta poop.
Hello? Are you there? I think it's frozen. Hang on, let me try something. Let me try to. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Steven, are you on the Xbox? I'll just call in. There's a number, right? Oh, there it is. There it is. Hey. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir. I am pulling those numbers up for you right now. Oh, whoa, whoa. Hey, shut up. Shut up. Shh. No, not you, sir. Shh.
Will do. Talk to you soon. Hey, honey. They want me to work from home for right now. I've been training for this my whole life.
That was hilarious to me. When the pandemic struck, of course, a great percentage of individuals were absolutely amateurs when it came to working remotely and being productive, being effective, being efficient. So what we wanted to do, like I said, was insert some comedy into how some people experienced their first opportunities working remotely, of which we started the video with a young lady who was working from her restroom or bathroom office. Of course, anytime you are working remotely, you want to work from an area where you have a door, if at all possible. So at least that denotes that you are indeed in a meeting and do not need to be interrupted. We heard another individual that had tech issues as their voice was kind of going in and out. We saw the instance with dogs, which is absolutely a distraction and interruption. We also showed an introvert, someone who literally stated she's been practicing this her whole life. So working remotely and or by herself is something that she actually looked forward to. Where on the flip side, we saw the extrovert who was literally peering out the window, longing for some sort of interaction. So we had a planner. We also had a cleaner who was multitasking, vacuuming and wiping things down as they were working, which can create a different type of challenge that we'll address later in reference to work-life balance. But then there was also the stay-at-home spouse who was experiencing issues with Wi-Fi and smells, things affecting her environment. Then we have the binge watcher, which was interesting. Your individual who's conducting the meeting with no pants, of which we have seen all type of news stories that address individuals whose cameras pan to things that should not be seen, as well as the napper and then the veteran. So we want to make sure that if you are portrayed in this video, that we help you find ways to not be one of those represented there. So some other struggles that are listed in reference to working remotely. The first, with the highest percentage that was taken from a Buffer survey, shows that unplugging from work was indeed an issue. And if you think about working remotely, you don't necessarily have to get in your car to go anywhere. You can literally roll out of bed, throw something on, and start working. So for some individuals, they may start work at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. They could very possibly work right through lunch, through dinner, and before you know it, it's nighttime, especially in the summer where it gets dark a lot later. So you definitely want to start thinking about how you will insert breaks and different things to denote that you literally need to be moving on to another function. Typically when working in an office, when it's time to get off, some individuals punch a clock, some individuals have to end applications, then they get in their car, they leave, and they no longer have access to the work. Well, when working remotely, the work is always there. Another high percentage listed here was loneliness, whereas depending on your personality type, you have to think about, is this something that will affect you? Will you long to socialize and communicate other than by way of Zoom or other teleconferencing features and or email? So we noted that there are challenges. We wanted to give you ideas in reference to what some work from home stressors would be as well. Some individuals feel as if they have to actually do more to prove that they are working since their boss cannot see them. Some individuals run into issues with childcare and or daycare, being that they have to actually supervise their children that are in school remotely sometimes while they are actually trying to complete their own work from home. We've already noted pets, but then think about how the poor Amazon lady or man can actually be a stressor. If you're in an important meeting and there are Amazon deliveries, for my home, there are multiple Amazon deliveries as well as Door Dashers, Grubhub people that will be back and forth to the door, ringing the doorbell. So you want to make sure these things are timed or be aware of when these things occur so you can be in a different section of your home or where it is that you will be conducting business from. We noted that work-life balance can absolutely become questionable. Internet issues as well as connectivity, and then knowing how to use new applications with knowledge and expertise. We go right into another comical video which basically is entitled Knowing is Half the Battle. There are individuals within this comedic video who don't know very important things in reference to working remotely, in reference to how to utilize their equipment, things in reference to bandwidth, appropriate conversations. So I just want to play this for you. It's a long video, but I will stop it at the 3-minute mark, and you will definitely understand why I'm stopping it where I am. Here we go. And no is exactly where we have to stop that video. And I said you would know exactly why, and there we go. Through humor, we are able to point out instances where you definitely have to understand where your camera is on your equipment. So if it's your laptop, you need to know where your camera is, how to activate it, how to engage it, how to disengage it. You also need to understand actual camera angles. We had the young lady where the camera was going up her nose, down her shirt, into her lap, and then and finally into the restroom, where on some equipment you can physically close the shutter to your camera, or within the application you can turn the video off. So these are things that you definitely want to practice before your meeting and or before any presentations that you will be conducting. There's also information in reference to, or not information, but having knowledge of what is considered appropriate conversations. So these individuals, they weren't working in the office, and it's almost as if they forgot what professional commentary sounds like. So there are times when you can joke, but then there are certain times where you should not mention things in reference to hating your children, asking, whether or not people are clothed or whatnot. So it really depends on the office and knowing your audience. But we definitely wanted to give you a glimpse of how things can go south really quickly. But we saw this video as being beneficial because they mentioned the use of virtual backgrounds as well as sharing your screens, of which we will touch on very quickly as well. So other work from home challenges that you may encounter. Understanding what it is that is expected of you when working from home. How often should you check in with your boss? How often should you check in with your fellow teammates, especially if you're working on a project? Knowing where to get your information from, and then having access to that information. Relaying performance and productivity, as well as cultivating employee and employer relationships. Other things that you need to know before you start working from home. Ask about software and hardware requirements. Equipment specifications such as routers and how many. Will you need an extender for your router to help extend the range? Or will you possibly need to go to your provider to get more bandwidth? If you're someone who will be working remotely and you have a spouse that will be working from home, actually working and or possibly watching Netflix or something else, utilizing some of that bandwidth. Who will you contact if you have IT issues? Knowing how to quickly do troubleshooting on your own, and then learning how to use your equipment as well as the platform that you'll be holding your meetings and or attending meetings through. Remote access comes into question. Is this something that you will require? Will you need access to things that are actually on the company's server? Will you have your team member contact information? What's the call-in procedure? Well, some people say, why on earth would I need a call-in procedure if I'm working from home? Well, emergencies do happen where you need to let individuals know that you won't be working on that particular project during the typical time that you would, whether it be 8 to 5 or 10 to 7. Maybe you have to take someone to the doctor, or maybe you're actually not feeling well and you can't sit up and do your work on that particular day. So this is information you want to have a good understanding of, as well as how to keep your company and customer information secure, and then production and reporting requirements. We've mentioned data security. You want to avoid public Wi-Fi. If necessary, use your personal hotspot on your cell phone. And this is something that absolutely works. I have conducted workshops from parking lots because I had to take a parent to the doctor, as well as from track meets because there was an event that I simply could not miss, but I also needed to take care of my responsibilities here at work. You also want to make sure you keep your data on your computer safe. Don't want to share your personal devices, and never leave your devices or laptop unattended, especially if you are someone who has the luxury of working from anywhere, whether it be coffee shop or Jamaica on the beach. So it's definitely things you want to still consider, especially during this time frame. While working remotely, there are certain platforms that you will use, of which some of the main ones include Zoom, BlueJeans, of which we're conducting this workshop, Microsoft Teams, which a lot of organizations utilize, Cisco WebEx, which does a lot of training, as well as GoToMeeting. What we're going to focus on today is information in reference to what we use primarily. But before we move on, the most widely used platform, of course, is Zoom, of which a number of individuals, whether attached to a corporation or not, are able to utilize this because it is free and host up to 100 participants. You can hold group meetings for up to 40 minutes, as long as that group is of 2 people. Anytime you go more than 2 people, you would need to get additional coverage. BlueJeans, as I stated, is where we are conducting this particular workshop. I like how BlueJeans offers best practices and different information in their training segment. They let you know about your internet connection. They provide advice in reference to utilizing headsets, of which I will be getting shortly because there are some noise canceling headsets, which just makes everything sound a lot more crisp. We mentioned Teams, of which a lot of organizations utilize. We use it here, and we reach out to our employers by way of Teams as well. I wanted to highlight this particular section because there is a training segment, of which if you are new to Teams, it tells you all about the application, how to share files, and all of this you can do within minutes. I do recommend that you do this maybe the day before, a few days before you have a meeting or host a meeting. Within Zoom, which is once again is one of the most highly used video applications within remote work, we wanted you to see that this is just like all the other applications that we currently use, whether it be Amazon or iTunes or something like that. You always get an opportunity to set up your profile. It is good to upload a photo of just you, where individuals can see you and then make some sort of connection, especially if you're holding a meeting. Face-to-face meetings often go better than telephone meetings because you can make that connection. Well, if you're on a video conference, having your picture there, if you're someone who's not able to utilize a live video, having that picture will still allow you to create the connection with the person on the other end. So anytime you turn off your camera or turn off your video, this is the picture that would show. Other than that, if you don't have a picture uploaded, it will have whatever information you have uploaded, whether it be your initials or your full name. But once again, since you are hosting this meeting to conduct business and or create some sort of relationship, you would want to upload that picture if at all possible. With Zoom, anytime you are setting up meetings, it is literally automatic. You can simply go to the calendar section of Zoom, click on the time that you're interested, double click, insert your information in reference to what the meeting is about. You will need your meeting participants' email addresses, so that way they will receive an invitation. It will also go on their calendar where they can accept It will also go on your calendar. I thought this was wonderful. Of course, the other programs work very much like this within Teams. The same thing occurs, but I just really saw the usefulness of this. When you are joining meetings, whether it be Zoom, whether it be through WebEx or any other, you want to make sure you are joining the meeting the way that you want to, whether or not it's with computer audio, and whether or not you test your microphone and speakers. You want to make sure that as you are joining, that you are able to hear what the speaker is saying, as well as for them to hear what you are saying. When it comes to sharing your screen, you will have an option as you're going into Zoom, where if I make this a little larger, at the bottom there you see a share screen button. Depending on what it is you're sharing, if you're doing a PowerPoint, as I am today, that has video clips in there, you want to check the appropriate box, optimize screen share for video clip. This will allow your participants to hear what is being said in the video. You will also make sure that your desktop is clear. If this is for business, only have things that are business appropriate on your desktop, so that way, if you are sharing in the middle of the meeting, that way they don't accidentally see something that you did not intend for them to see. How to avoid some of those work from home stressors that we've mentioned. Having a dedicated work area. Let's think back to that first video where the young lady is working from the restroom office. She needed a door. On that door, she could actually put a sign that says in a meeting, or maybe on the other side it says free to talk. You want to personalize your workspace, making sure that it is comfortable, which absolutely increases your productivity. If you need Post-its, have the Post-its near you. If you need tape, stapler, any other things like that, all of which should be available. If you are at all possible or able to take your show on the road, by all means do that. Work from a vacation area. I'm just a tad bit jealous because, of course, my husband can work from anywhere at any time. He can work from the golf course. He can work out of town. He can work out of the country. If you have that capability, by all means utilize it. The technology is here. Just remember to set some goals and some limitations so that your work-life balance won't be thrown out of whack. Schedule breaks. If you typically walk to an office to have a meeting, think about the amount of time it takes to walk to that office. If you typically would have to walk across campus to get somewhere, build that time in there. This will allow you to get some fresh ideas sometime. It allows the blood to circulate, generating additional creativity, and it keeps you from feeling overwhelmed as you are now separating one meeting from another. Some other things that will help you decrease the stress. We found a new application. So we just entitled this slide, it's a new day, it's a new app. It's called S'mores Up, and this is something that would have assisted the young man that was working in one video on the computer and still wiping and then vacuuming. Well, in the event that there were other individuals living in the home with that person, they could utilize the chore assigning application where you have tokens that actually monetize each activity, which literally takes the friction out of managing chores, as well as feeling as if you have to do all of this work for work, you have to do all of this work for the home. You can literally share the wealth. So this information you can find within the Wall Street Journal. It was in the March 3rd edition, so we do have the information there. But I think anyone that lives with more than one or two individuals where the chores could and or should be shared, definitely give S'mores Up a little attention, see if that's something that will assist you. Here's what the experts have to say. When it comes to working remotely, working from home, it's best if you maintain physical as well as social boundaries. This means even though you may be working with individuals that work in different time zones, plan accordingly. If you've been up since 7 a.m. and you're now working to 7 p.m., which if that's your schedule, that's your schedule, but most people work 8-hour schedules. But then you're working with someone else who has a 3 to 5 hour time difference. This can wear on you greatly. So you definitely want to plan accordingly, letting your employer or your supervisor know the times that you will be working, especially if it's on a project where maybe you are interfacing with Italy or Japan or something of that nature. Or heck, for that matter, Colorado. They're still 3 hours behind, so you definitely want to keep those things in consideration. Another thing is prioritizing your work. Do your important work versus your busy work. We're not saying that busy work isn't important. However, you want to take care of the most important things first, just the same way that you would while you were in the office. This information we found from Managing People, which was also in the Harvard Business Review. Other helpful tips when it comes to working remotely is drawing a line in the sand. We got this information from Tamla Gilbert, who is a global program and portfolio manager for T-Systems International. She's been roughly working remotely for the last 10 years, I believe, where she says draw a line in the sand. It is beyond important to separate your work and home life to the extent that you are able. And this is where we're talking about, think about your normal day. If you normally have a commute to work, if you normally have a commute or a walk to and from the meetings, build those in. All of this provides you opportunity to separate and then transition. Working from home, you still need that transition from work to your home life. You still need the opportunity to decompress. So some individuals, you may actually need to walk around the block. So no, you're not leaving your job going home, but you still need something to denote the fact that you are no longer working and you are now officially on home time. So even though you're working from home, we still want to make sure you get that separation, still schedule those breaks, transition, and have the opportunity to decompress. Other helpful hints. Don't be that person who has to get up to answer the DoorDash and you don't have pants on. Get dressed. Act like you're going into the office. For me personally, when I'm conducting business from home or working remotely, I get dressed fully. I even put on shoes because for me, it's a mindset. I am now professional Dawn Davis. I'm taking care of business. I can't do that in sweats and house shoes. If you can, that's wonderful, but just keep in mind where your camera is and make sure that the others cannot see that if that's not what you want to happen. Get out of the house, take a walk, take a ride, socialize. Even though you're working remotely from home, you can still socialize and stay connected virtually with your coworkers. You can utilize Teams. There can be specific team rooms where you discuss things in reference to hobbies. You can discuss baking or have a room where everyone shares pictures of their children or their pets. So there's definitely ways to stay connected. You want to move, you've got to move, you have to move. Step away from the computer from time to time. And then most importantly, be kind to yourself. This is still a new process for so many of us. So as we have noted here, we took a quote from livelifehappy.com. Slow down, calm down, don't worry, don't hurry, trust the process. And we are hoping that as you work through this process of either accepting a new remote assignment and or transitioning from the office, moving into a remote assignment, that we were able to give you some great information in reference to some of the challenges as well as benefits associated with working from home, and then some best practices as well. So I want to thank you all for your participation today. We look forward to assisting you in achieving your career goals. You can do so at any of our offices listed. We have Novi, Oak Park, Pontiac, Troy, and Waterford. I work at the Southfield Career Center located on Civic Center Drive in Southfield. So thank you once again for attending. And by all means, stop by and let us know if we can be of any assistance. Thanks so much. Have a great day.